Yeah, but today we're going to do this live now. This is our once a year in-person meeting. First on the agenda is announcements. Does anybody have announcements they would like to make? John's got one.
To remind them, to those that were not members, they signed up for this conference, you get membership in koha-US for the remainder of the calendar year with your payment.
Nobody online will be here, John.
Yeah, I realized as John started to talk that I didn't have this microphone ready to get to it, but I will repeat what John just said. In-person registrants to this conference, you are automatically a koha-US member with your conference registration dues. So we're going to talk about a whole bunch of election-y things coming up soon, and that means you'll all be eligible to vote in them because you're a koha member or a koha-US member.
And the follow-up that is that work of adding these people will be done by the end of the conference.
And the follow-up to that is that the work of actually adding these people, all of y'all, to the membership rolls will be done by the end of conference. Okay, thank you, John. Anybody else? Raleigh has an announcement and I'm taking him the microphone like a professional.
And I was just going to say, don't wait until August or September of next year to join. Go ahead and do it in January when the membership starts.
Wally and John, the people who process memberships, would like you to do them promptly and, you know, not at last minute before the conference. And I think that's pretty fair. Yeah, that's true too. Fair. All right, last call for other announcements. Well, then I have a series of announcements that are our 5-year membership awards, which we always give out at conference. Yeah, some of these people are not here. I hope they're online. I'll read their names. I'll hold up their certificates and all. Oh, the pins. Well, that's because it's your job to come give people the pins. I knew that. I was waiting for you. Why aren't you here?
People brought my pin.
We keep having conversations about whether or not this is the year we need to start also giving out 10-year membership awards. And we're getting there, but not quite. Yeah, but so far, 5 years is the highest award anyone has received. Our first 5-year member is Rebecca Court, who I have not seen around. But yay, Rebecca! Yeah. I haven't seen John Crosno either. No, but thank you to John. I know Lauren Denny is not here, but many thanks to 5-year member Lauren Denny. I don't know Greg Gantz. Is today the day I meet Greg Gantz?
No.
No, he's not here today. And Brandy Ledford? I haven't, no. And Rachel Reese. Ooh. Big finale coming up. Georgette Rogers. If you're here, I throw your thing on the floor. Thank you, Georgette.
Thank you.
Thank you for 5 years of it.
Of course.
And last but not least, TJ Ratowski, who I also know is here. May you all aspire to a shiny, shiny certificate of your own at some future conference.
And a shiny membership.
Thank you, John. That brings us into new business. Our first item of new business is our one standing new business thing. Hey, George, do you have anything we should know about the Koha Charitable Foundation? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
We haven't met since the last time.
Yeah. Well, if I forget to ask you, then you do have things to say, so.
So I can come up and explain.
Sure.
I can even wear the microphone. I'll be so I don't have to think about it. So at the Hackfest a couple of years ago, I think it was been 2 Hackfests ago, Jonathan from Open Fifth, what is now Open Fifth, and Brendan Gallagher and some other people worked on the idea of creating a 501c3 for Koha. Koha currently, the Koha has a lot of things that have grown up naturally over time, and it's a well-developed community. And but Koha doesn't have any kind of place where you can't give money to Koha really. When we did the conference in the U.S., the way that the Koha community contributed to the conference through a charity was by giving money to us. Because we're already a 501c3, we were able to take contributions from the businesses that wanted to donate to the conference to support the conference, and then we were able to put that money to use for the conference. We did that in Portland. We did that in Lawrence. I should know Lawrence. I was there. I lived there. So there isn't a way for people to give money to Koha. There isn't a way for Koha as an organization to spend money. There isn't any kind of holding company to hold assets if we wanted to hold assets. So the idea was floated a couple of years ago to create some kind of organization as a 501c3. And Brendan and Jonathan did a lot of work on this and decided that probably the easiest way to do this and the way that made the most sense to them was to try to get a Koha organization started in the Open Library Foundation. And what the Open Library Foundation is it's a foundation that's like made up of other organizations like Koha. Viewfind is a part of the Open Library Foundation. Folio is a part of OLF. And then there's several others I can't think of, but that's the idea, is that the Koha Charitable Foundation will begin as a part of the OLF. And over the since the international conference in Montreal, there's a group of us that have been meeting theoretically monthly, but lately Andrew from Open Fifth is officially the leader of this group, and he's been on vacation for like the last 3 months. So we haven't really had any good quality meetings in the last couple of months. There was a meeting, I think there may have been a meeting 2 weeks ago that it wasn't even on my schedule or on the Koha calendar. And I think 2 people showed up at the meeting and posted Mattermost. Is there a meeting today? I don't know. Is there a meeting today? I thought there was a meeting today. So we haven't done a lot of work lately, but we've created a set of like bylaws for this, what would become the Koha Foundation LLC as a part of the Open Library Foundation. And because we're joining, it looks like we're headed in that direction. Jason and I are doing a presentation at the OLF conference, WolfCon, the World Open Library Foundation Conference, which will be in Kansas City this year. So it made sense for Jason and I to go because I'm 45 minutes from Kansas City. Jason's more like 2 hours. And Chris Cormack is doing a presentation there, and somebody else, and I can't think of who, is doing a Koha presentation. I can't think of their name. It wasn't somebody that I knew personally. So that's what we've been working on with the Koha Foundation. And the idea is to just, create this thing, and then it will give us a place if Koha ever needs to own assets. The foundation could be the place that does that. The next time we want to have an international conference, we can donate money directly to the Koha Charitable Foundation. Because Koha will be a part of the Open Library Foundation, we can participate in their conference, maybe make part of our presence part of that presence. So that's what the foundation is, and I've been part of that committee. I think it was Steve that I said at one point, that other people we should try and get the idea that maybe we should be more involved in this when it comes to pass. And I thought it was Stephen that, it was somebody else from this group that I had them, they were interested in, and they sent me an email, and then my mother-in-law was in the hospital. I never really got back to them. But I think that we should try to be, make sure that we keep on top of what's going on with the Koha Foundation, because one of the reasons that I volunteered at the Montreal conference to be a part of this governing steering committee was because everybody that was in the room that said, I'll be a part of that, I'll be a part of that, with the exception of me and Sophia from France, everybody that was part of this discussion was a member of a vendor organization. And I don't think that's bad. I don't have a problem with that. It just seemed like it was on the verge of being 100% vendors, which seemed to me to be less than ideal. So if we want the Koha Foundation to take our ideas into consideration and our thoughts into consideration, we should probably try to make sure that there are librarians represented there too. So does anybody have any questions about the foundation?
Could you say more about what the benefits are if we can under the umbrella of the Open Libraries Foundation?
So the Open Library Foundation, the reason, Jonathan and Brendan did the background work on this, and I think that the biggest benefit it has is that it's less paperwork for the people on the steering committee to do. I ultimately think that that was one of the biggest benefits, is it's already established as a 501c3. I know that when koha-US became a 501c3, it was about a 3-year process.
So the foundation of this becoming 501c3 is becoming a subsidiary of 501c3.
Exactly. And what Stephen is saying over there that you might not be able to hear because he's not mic'd. So for those people online, the Koha Charitable Foundation would essentially become a subsidiary of an already existing 501c3. Open Library Foundation is established in Delaware, and they have a history of helping these organizations become part of their organizations. So, and Nate had his hand back up at the back of the room there.
Also provides legal assistance.
Yes.
That came up, and it also provides a third-party place to put assets.
Yeah.
So we don't have to run into the problems that we did in the past.
Yeah, and that's what Nate is saying, is that there's a legal benefit. There's the OLF offers the Koha Charitable Foundation legal assistance. And I'm saying this not for the benefit of the people in the room, but for the benefit of the people that aren't in the room. So there's some benefits to joining the OLF, like legal assistance, and it does give us a place to hold assets. Because, when Marshall Breeding was up here talking the other day about the fork in Koha that happened in 2011, where LibLime tried to take control of the Koha assets and to privatize the code base. Part of the issue there was that there was a question about who legally owned those. But giving us a foundation to put those assets into protects us in certain respects. So, and I think Jessie had her hand up, or are you just? So Jessie will have a microphone.
The Alex Buckley is the other person who's speaking at WolfCon. He's from Catalyst.
That's right.
So that's another great presentation. And then the other thing that's helpful to know about OLF, like right now, individuals or vendors pay for things like the Koha community website or Bugzilla or the wiki or things like that. And so this will also help to put those things in and help pay for them rather than having individuals pay for it.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad you remembered it was Alex Buckley. I knew who it was. I just couldn't think of their name because I've never met them in person like I have with most of the people here in the room now. Are there any other? Well, I guess the other thing I would say, the last thing I'll say about this is I was looking at Chris Cormack's description of his presentation at WolfCon, and it sounds like it's going to be an outstanding presentation. I don't remember the name of it, but it's about how about how open source is more there's the software aspect to it, but what he feels is the most important part is the community part of it. And it looks like a really great presentation. And I look forward to seeing him again because he's a great speaker. So unless anybody has any other questions, well, Fred's got a question now. So Fred says he doesn't need the microphone. Please give Fred the microphone so I don't have to repeat what Fred says for the people online. It's not for your benefit, Fred. It's for the benefit of the people online.
And much benefit in hearing me speak. Fred King, board member, at large, unsupported. Will this eventually end up, online in the archive somewhere? So I can catch up with all the talks?
The WolfCon stuff?
Yes, or anything.
I believe that the WolfCon presentations from the past are available on their website. So I imagine these will be as well, but I'm not sure. WolfCon is, they're a nonprofit like we are, but it's a much more expensive conference to go to. It's
Just saying.
yeah, just saying. Any other questions about the foundation? All right. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, George. Next up, I want to talk about several things that we will be having voting for within koha-US coming up. The first of those is the development committee. Chip, I should know all these details, but I've been thinking about this conference too much to remember what exactly is going on with the development committee. So if you would be so kind as to give us a rundown.
So Development Committee meets to discuss developments that koha-US might support. And we, over the months, we winnowed down a list to 5 finalist developments. And, some twists and turns, like one of the ones that was on the final 5 list actually was funded by somebody else. So we had to come up with a new one, which is a good thing. And so finally, we're ready to send out the information about voting. And so watch for an email. All members will get an email when we get the membership list updated, and you may vote for one of 5 developments that are the finalists, or you can vote to hold on to the money till next year. So, and I guess that's about it. One member, one vote. If you're in this institution with a lot of members, every member gets 1 vote. So, yeah. I guess that's about it.
Yeah. Yes, by all means, clap. Go for it. Thank you, Chip. This is one of the primary things koha-US does with their funds each year is fund some piece of development to make Koha better for everybody. Last year, we all voted to put $4,000 toward a development to allow mark modification templates to use indicators. The cataloger from Round Rock got up and gave an impassioned speech and really carried the crowd on that one. That is, again, one of the options this year because that didn't get it fully funded. But then I can't remember if the rest of the list, if we would be fully funding things or partially funding some. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can also vote to fully fund the mark templates.
Right. Yeah. So some of the things that are options are really cost more than koha-US is able to pay in 1 year. So it is kind of putting money towards something with hopes that either will come back later and provide the rest of that money or another library will step in and meet that goal. But yeah, watch for an email about those options and your chance to vote on that. Do we have any development-y questions? Oh, Christy has one. Sure. Christy wants to know when the vote is happening. And the vote is happening once the ballot gets created and the email gets sent out.
Well, yeah, when we have the final member list that based on people added to this conference.
Okay. So shortly after the conference, the ballot is all ready to go. It's just not sent out yet. And in part because y'all just became members. Congratulations.
There are 25 people watching online, maybe you can encourage them.
they would also get a vote. If they are a member, they already have a vote. And if they're not a member, they could vote. And then they can help guide development for Koha.
They could become.
Yeah. I would also point out that's kind of one of the things that the Koha Foundation could potentially do in the future. Like there is no global Koha entity for funding development for like librarians around the world to pool funds like we do. You know, and because there is not a global Koha entity like that. So yeah. That was a lot. That was a lot of blesses. Another thing we will be voting on soon will be officers for koha-US for 2026. That vote can't happen until we have some candidates. Candidates are generally either self-nominated out of a spirit of selfless giving, or you can nominate someone else out of a spirit of redemption, or not, that's not the word I want. No, well, I was looking for a meaner word. Thank you. Deep in my soul, I just don't even remember what retribution is. Yeah, so we will need to elect for 2026 a secretary, a member at large unsupported, and a vice president / president-elect. Filling the amply capable shoes, because you don't have big feet, you're very good at your job, of Christy and Fred and Chip, respectively. Note that the vice president, it turns into the president. That's how you get here. If you're looking to get here and wield this marvelous power, this is your path. So do please look in your soul, look in the souls of your friends and colleagues. Do they want to be an officer of koha-US?
Explain for those who maybe are not part of it, like what the unsupported is, or
Yeah.
what some of the job duties are of the vice president.
Yeah.
that's the-
Absolutely. I will say, first off, Georgette asked me to explain what these various roles are, people online. The website, the koha-US website and bylaws will do a better job of this than I do. We have a very approachable set of bylaws that spells out individual roles. But the secretary is responsible for maintaining the online calendar, making sure meetings are up there, preparing agendas and minutes. Christy is typing minutes right now. She just typed her own name. I bet she hates that. Just feels weird to take minutes about yourself. Yeah, so there's a court reporter aspect. The member at large, we have 2 members at large who are board members without other specified charges, but are there to represent librarians. We have a member at large for supported libraries and a member at large for unsupported libraries. And so Fred is our member at large for unsupported libraries. You'll note we don't have a ton of unsupported library employees here in the room with us right now. If you know any, encourage them to be involved in koha-US. Maybe get really involved really fast and be on the board. Yeah, by all means.
Yes, I doubt I am going to be allowed another 2-year term. If nobody else takes it, sort of like the last cookie, but never mind. I would urge somebody who runs an unsupported Koha libraries. Anyone here unsupported other than me? Doesn't look like it. But I do think that unsupported libraries should be on the board and have a voice. Just as a reminder that, yes, it is possible to run your own Koha instance if it's a small library and you have more time than money. That's one of the really wonderful things about Koha is that you don't absolutely have to have a vendor to support you because the community will do a really good job of it. So I urge somebody, anybody within the sound of my voice, if you have an unsupported library, please consider it.
Do me a favor, stand there and wait for a second and stay there.
So I have this is George, and I have a question for Fred. How much time do you spend on koha-US board business? How much effort does it take to be the unsupported member at large?
Basically, I don't do anything except show up at board meetings. I did put it down as one of the things I did to contribute to the library world for my Academy of Health Information Professionals. It's a medical library thing. If I had my pipe with me, I would say I qualified at the distinguished level. But you don't have to do anything, but you have to be very good at it.
You have to come to a meeting. Oh, I have 2 mics if I do that. You have to come to a meeting once a month and have and voice opinions. Yeah, I mean, I hope you'll all appreciate the irony in me telling you that I feel like sometimes koha-US is too much a Bywater Solutions show. And I would love for us to be like cool people who show up and help, but therefore to be a clear understanding that you all run your own thing and that we don't. You know, like it's important that, to me, that this not be a Bywater member library club only. And I love that Fred is here, you know, giving us that perspective. If where'd Galen get off to? I think he ran away. You're like, Galen, I'm glad Galen is here from Equinox. I would love to see more Equinox libraries here. Like, this is a users group and it's for everybody. And the more organizations we have involved, the better. Oh, I didn't talk about what the vice president/president does. In my experience, you spend a year following Bob around and trying to see what Bob does. And then the next year, you kind of try to do the same thing over again. The vice president has very few specific duties. Be helpful. The president runs these meetings. That's the most like ongoing need, is running these meetings and the board meetings and the conference planning meetings, because that is like the largest charge of the president, is to plan this conference. I'm not an event planner. It's exciting. Christy, were you raising your hand back there? Oh, yeah. Thank you, Christy. The vice president is also the chair of the development committee. That's why Chip told you the things. I did that last year and I forgot. Boy, okay. I was like this before I got elected vice president, though. The job didn't do this to me. The other thing we are going to be approaching you for soon for voting, that was going to be really dependent on some candidates from you first, is location proposals for this conference next year, koha-US 2026. We have been in a pattern where we, every year after one conference, accept nominations for a location and then have an election to decide where the next year's conference will be. And we're going to do that this year because we need to know where we will meet next year. I'm also going to say we have big plans to maybe get a year out ahead of that. I know we're not the first person to voice these plans, but I would love to get us to a place where we have that location set. So right now I could be telling you we'll see you next year in Daytona and we'll figure it out from there. I don't think we're going to Daytona Beach. Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, hurricanes in Daytona Beach right now. Yeah. I'm seeing many Florida residents making faces at me like, oh no, don't do it. But that again, we need you all to volunteer to host us so that we can have locations to choose from for next year. I know we had 2 really good candidates this year that didn't get chosen. We had a good pool this year of 3 people. And we did not go to Ohio and we did not go to Rapid City. It's the same. No, I say that as a Midwesterner. It's expanses like, I don't know, Des Moines, Dubuque, whatever. I'm sorry. So do please Look at your facilities, look at your staff. Consider if you would like to host everyone here. I hear it can be cheaper to host than to fly a bunch of staff out to a conference somewhere else.
It is.
Which seems counterintuitive, but if you were going to send a bunch of people to wherever koha-US is next year, maybe they all stay home. But please do put in suggestions. That I don't know why that terrifies me so much that some year no one's going to offer to host. It hasn't happened yet. Don't do it to me, please.
We'll just come to your house.
Yeah, Rhonda has a comment. Here, well, I'm gonna fall over. What happened? Got late.
Just as somebody that this is Rhonda Kuiper from Round Rock. We hosted last year, and the benefit that I saw that I didn't think of ahead of time was how much the people, the staff at the library had a vested interest in the conference, and how much they enjoyed and how much they learned and how much more excited they were about Koha after meeting everybody and sitting in on the conferences or the presentations that interested them. So if you want to get your folks excited about Koha and interested in trying new things, hosting the conference is a great way to do that. So just a plug.
Thank you. Okay. This has brought me to the end of my agenda. Traditionally, so now we go into open time, where our agenda says bugs, issues, etc. And on a normal month, you all have quite an appetite for voicing bugs that you've been thinking about. And that may still be the case, but it does seem like we've been doing kind of a lot of that today. Does anybody have any bugs or other issues in Koha that they really want to talk about with the group? Yeah, I understand. We've been doing it a lot. Did anybody do something really cool in their working session that they want to tell us about? Miranda and I signed off and passed QA on a cataloging bug. We were excited. Yeah. In 2511, probably you'll get automatically created RDA field value authorized values. So you can connect your 330 whatever fields to all your RDA drop-down lists. Ooh. Bug number, oh man, it had a 4 in it. I'll tell you, because I don't remember it, but my computer knows. Molly had her hand up.
I just want to give George a shout out for our working session because I learned so much in those 2 hours that I didn't know before, and I'm much more confident now.
Great. Yeah, many thanks to George. He put in a presentation proposal that said, this isn't a presentation proposal. I want to talk to people about jQuery and help them do it. And I said, oh, cool, because I have this idea for working sessions. Please come do jQuery. Okay. Well, folks, oh, okay. I'm gonna come around here to get Kim.
I already spoke to the Bywater folks because they're my people. The display module that was in the bugs, it's been sitting there for a long, long, long time, that had a lot of momentum and then died.
Yeah.
And I know part of the reason it died was because of development money and that sort of thing. So I just wanted to energize the idea of a display module, because every year that it's still sitting there, I have my people say, we have to keep track of these big giant displays where we're displaying 150 books out in the hall. How do we do that? La, 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 la. And I'm like, well, there's a way, but it's sort of hanging out. So if anybody else has an interest in that sort of thing, please look into that.
Oh, sorry, caught myself on my string. Actually, so the display module, that development is underway. It has, it's not looking for funding or anything. I gotta look into this then. Like, that is not my understanding, and things are complicated, but I've been wrong before. My understanding is that got blocked actually by some like infrastructure work. The introduction, they wanted to write it based on Vue, which is I don't even understand what Vue is, guys. A programming syntax. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Brandon. A JavaScript library, sure. Framework. Thank you, Lawrence. And Koha needed some work to be able to use Vue in that way. So there was some like quiet background work that has been happening that now the display stuff is ready to move forward on top of. So that should be in the nearer future. And really, we're always happy to hear that people are still interested and be encouraged to progress work. But I don't think this one is needing any specific further push at this point, just time and work, which is good news. Yeah. I don't know yet because I have to look at my computer. It's 39418. There was a 4 in it.
If anybody's interested, the display module is 1214.
Thank you. Yeah. It is, the display concept has been smattered across Bugzilla pretty widely, so I don't know that that is necessarily where they're putting their work. There's also 14962.
How many bugs are there?
There are a mini bugs that talk about display units.
You can pay me later for this one, but I just want to say the working session was a fantastic idea. It was really nice to have some unstructured time to huddle together about some of the things that have come up.
Thanks, partner, for your unsolicited, unpaid feedback. What else can I facilitate you all in discussing here in this general meeting at our conference?
Wouldn't solve our problem with display.
It says that 14962 is temporary shelving locations and we use collection code instead of shelving location. So I don't know. I would like that to be considered. Anyway.
I'm going to make a note to myself to go back to my computer later and look at some specs. My understanding is that what they are writing is much more course reserves, but it's a display. Yeah. Rather than 14962 is a sort of more silent background version of just like, let me set something to display, and when it gets checked out, it's not in display anymore. Which is, a different model. Okay, y'all. I think then we have done a meeting, which means we have done a whole day of conference.